Welcome, everybody, and thank you for listening to the Leftover Pizza Podcast. Grimey here, and as per usual, I'm hanging out with Derek. Man, it's officially 1 year into our little journey here, right?
Well, officially 1 year, I think, since we recorded our first episode.
Yeah.
But definitely longer than a year. I think you had this idea of doing a podcast at the beginning of last year, the beginning of 2021.
Mm-hmm. It has been a bit.
Boy, that's a story in and of itself.
Yep.
But we're here. We made it. Very exciting stuff.
And we figured for our 1 year, we would do something a little bit different. We threw on Instagram and Facebook a little Q&A kind of thing where you guys could give us some questions if there are any burning questions that you desire to hear us answer. We would do that, and here we are, slave to the game.
Here we are, answering your questions. I'm shocked that anybody even asked us questions. I just feel like, not you, but I feel like I'm the most uninteresting man in the room most of the time. So the fact that people actually want our opinions and thoughts and want to know more about the podcast and what you and I are all about, that just kind of blows my mind. And if you told me a year ago that we'd be sitting here doing this, I would have said, okay, pal, whatever, guy.
You know, it's very nice of you to put yourself below me like that, but absolutely not. No, one and the same. I'm very uninteresting in my opinion. Maybe you guys think a little bit different than we do, but thanks for asking your questions. We really do appreciate it. We appreciate that you guys are listening and doing things that we have asked. So
yes, do the things that we tell you.
Do them, please.
Man, that sounds... It sounds like we're a cult.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we are making a cult and we just don't realize it.
Maybe.
I mean, I tell people to join our pizza club all the time, and that just sounds a little culty.
When do we start sending Kool-Aid packets, though?
Oh, dude, you already sent me one.
I know.
And I didn't drink it and you got sick. So, yo, maybe you are actually the founder of a cult.
You guys found the secret. It's out.
So before we get into the questions, do you want to give like a little bit of a backstory? Like, I know it ties into the first question here, but even before the first question, like how we started, how Leftover Pizza came to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, we kind of found each other through Instagram a pretty long time ago. What, about 5 years ago, probably?
Pretty close to that point.
4 or 5 years.
It was right. So for those of you who don't know, Zach, who has never been on the podcast, Zach and I used to work together, and we just started screwing around and making shirts that we thought were funny. And that's what Dem Boys was initially. Like Simpsons shirts and Danny DeVito as a Dorito. DeVito's, that's our big claim to fame. So eventually we kind of worked our way up and then started a pop culture website, which was kind of something that we always wanted to do and sort of learned our way through it. And once we started that off, when we were writing articles, it was really wild. Like, Grimey went through and just completely like did a like bomb on us and just like liked every one of our posts.
I did. I do remember that too.
One of the big spams. And I was like, yo, who is this guy? And then I remember laughing because at that point, your Instagram handle was still Optimus Grime.
It's so bad.
814.
Yeah. I was like, all right. I don't even remember. I think it was like DK before. It was like DEE_KAY and like a bunch of Y's. I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what the hell to put my name as on this stupid thing. So I had it like that for a while. And then I was like, I should probably like, since I'm sharing all this bullshit, I should probably like figure out a name that people might remember. And some people remembered that name. And I kind of wish I didn't.
For those of you who don't know, that's how the name Grimey was born. Because long story short, we sort of started interacting, and then I eventually reached out and I was like, hey, do you like want to write an article for our website or something? And he was like, oh, awesome. And at that point, you introduced yourself. And you're like, I'm Dave. And I was like, hey, Dave. So, shocker to all of you guys, he has a real name.
He does.
Grimey has a real name.
He really do.
Zach and I, sitting in our cubicles, came to a conclusion. We're like, we're never going to fucking remember this guy's actual name. We remember Optimus Grime. And again, we were very heavy into The Simpsons. I mean, I always have been, but we were like Simpsons brain at that point. And there's a character on The Simpsons, Frank Grimes, and Homer keeps calling Frank Grimes Grimy. And I was like, this guy is grimy. We're calling him Grimy because he's got Optimus Grime going on. It's a whole mouthful. I'm not saying the whole thing. Yeah. Grimy. And it just sort of stuck. And it's weird how it's stuck around. Like, there's other people who you've met on Instagram through all of this who just refer to you as Grimy as well, which is just insane to me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it did stick. Like, I prefer being called that, I guess, on my social accounts, if you will.
Alter ego.
Then I changed it all to Retroplasm, but I still have Grimy up there somewhere. It's in there somewhere in the about or whatever in Instagram, so...
In the hearts and in the minds of our listeners and our Dem Boys fans, you are Grimy and always will be.
Absolutely. So yeah, I guess that kind of answers one question we had here from James M. How did you guys become friends? That's a pretty, quick scenario there. They did approach me. Zach and Derek did approach me about writing some articles, and we started writing articles together, and I was writing them pretty frequently, and I think the first one was, it was like Captain Crunch something or other, cotton candy back a few summers ago.
Oh, it was the Captain Crunch cotton candy cereal review. It was. Sure.
We ripped it right from my Instagram, and I just threw it on the website and took it off of the Instagram. It was like, it's not here no more. Go to itsdemboys.com and read about it, and pretty much just went from there. Yeah.
That is how that worked. I forgot all about that. It's coming back to me now. Yeah, because you were basically writing mini reviews on Instagram, and I was like, hey, you should just put these on a website because they're just going to get lost on Instagram. And you're like, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. It turned out for the best. I mean, we're still here doing it to this day. Maybe a little less frequently than we did before, but I don't know, give it time. We'll be back in action again. The spooky season's coming around. You'll see some really cool shit up there very, very soon.
You people also get a lot of podcasts from us and videos now, so there's plenty of us to go around, okay? We still need to sleep and eat every now and again.
Yeah.
Well, so that's how we met. But I mean, I guess that's also how we became friends. But I don't know, man. You just start talking about things that you like with people who also like the same things, just over and over and over again. And then next thing you know, it's like, oh shit, am I friends with this guy who lives like 5 states away that I've never met? And it's like, oh, I guess we are.
Absolutely. Yeah, we noticed really, really quickly how much we had in common. Pretty much, we had the same goal, and it was to do something like this, or, like the blog, or, doing vlog posts, or, what have you. We all had the same idea, and designing things too. I know a lot of people probably don't know from here, but all 3 of us, we do design things, and like there is a store and all that kind of stuff, and we do put work into it.
You're actually wearing one of our t-shirts right now. I just noticed it.
I am. Did you do this one, or was this one Zach? I feel like this one was you.
That was me.
Yeah.
Our old Naft apparel stuff. It's a good one. It's a good shirt.
It is a good one. I wear this a lot.
I mean, it's okay. I made it. It's not that great, but it's
sweet.
Fun. So in conclusion, James, that's, I guess, how we became friends. And then he started sending me a lot of junk food in the mail, and I don't know if I'm friends with him anymore. He really keeps pushing fucking gross flavored candy corn on me. I might have to terminate this friendship sometime soon.
Well, you want to hit the next question here?
So our next question comes from Joshua H., and it asked, what started us down this road? I guess we don't have to do that one. We kind of just answered it.
Well, I mean, in short, this was just kind of the next logical step, right? Like, we were already doing articles. We were already doing, like, some small video content on TikTok, and then we kind of put that into Instagram. And like Derek said earlier, we have been thinking about podcasts for longer than anyone will probably know, like probably 3 years now, just like talking loosely off and on about it. It went through so many different changes. It was going to be a Dem Boys podcast. And Derek actually did make his own podcast, which is still going on still today.
Knife Dog, baby.
Yeah, buddy.
And actually, for me, it goes longer, it goes further back than Dem Boys and all of that. Proud college dropout here. Owe a lot of money, learn nothing. The one thing that I got out of college was for 2 years, I was a DJ on the college radio station in Lowell, Massachusetts. And that was one of the best experiences of my life. I loved it. It started as one show at 10:30 p.m. on Thursdays, Bad Apple Radio, and then just sort of I got another show, and I think at one point I was on like 3 or 4 shows, and I was like, this is incredible. I love this. How do I do this for a living? And then I went and worked at funeral homes. So complete opposite direction. But eventually, once Dem Boys started popping around, like Grimey said, that started, and then very, very early on, we started talking about the idea of like, we should do a podcast. How would we do a podcast? And we went through like so many iterations of what it could be, what we could do. And then I had like a mental breakdown after a year and a half of working for funeral homes through COVID. And I said, fuck this. And I started Knife Dog last year, which was completely not related to anything Dem Boys. I just was like, I got to do something different. And then eventually, through that, Grimey wanted to start a podcast. And him and I batted the idea back and forth for a while. I wasn't even going to be on it. And then it's like, I don't know, the universe said, no, you guys have to do this. And then it like, we did it. We did one episode that was really, really bad.
Oh, yeah.
One really horrible. I have it on a hard drive that is never getting released ever. I don't, unless I die. When I die, you people can break into my home and steal my hard drive and release it to the world if you really want that. But yeah, I mean, aside from one bad episode, we hopped right into it on the second, which was technically our first that we released, and we've been going straight since then.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it just, like I said, it seemed like the next logical step. We were already friends with quite a few people who already do this kind of stuff. We frequently listen to different podcasts, and it just, seemed like something that could, we would benefit from, and also, kind of progress our creative minds, I guess.
And I will say, because I always forget this part, but it's very important. It's very key. With Dem Boys, especially throughout the pandemic, we were all pretty much locked away, and we had a lot of free time on our hands because we couldn't do anything after work. So we were just like all in on Dem Boys for a while.
Yep.
And we got into this rhythm where it was myself, Zach, and Grimey having weekly meetings, like once a week, on FaceTime.
Yep.
We sent an iPad down to him. So the 3 of us were just like shooting the shit. It started because we were just trying to make this clothing brand, the shirt that Grimey's actually wearing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were like tossing around ideas for that. And what actually ended up happening was we spent more time talking about like movies and games and anything that you could possibly imagine, and then we'd get like 10 minutes of talking in about these ideas for like shirts and whatever that we had, and then eventually I think that's when we came to realize, because we just kept doing it for a week after week after week, and we're like, why isn't that the podcast?
This is basically
what we're doing anyways.
Yep. Oh man, happy times, good memories. Yeah, I mean, what more could you expect? You know, this is everything that we've been doing. Yep.
Pretty much.
All right, well, now that we got that, I feel like those were the two most important questions. Now that we got them ones out, we can get to the meat and potatoes.
Meat and potatoes.
So this one comes from Jeremy D. And by the way, we're going with last names. Just the first letter of each last name, just in case you guys didn't want your whole last name being on there and, you know, private stuff. We're cool, I hope.
But you know who you are.
Yeah, you know who you are, you know. And if your question didn't end up on here, it's just because we liked them so much that they could be used for a future episode. Like, some of these were pretty extravagant, I'm not gonna lie. Like, some of them were like, okay, this could be like we could talk about this for hours, so don't feel offended.
Yeah, this could be a whole podcast subject, this question here.
But anyways, from Jeremy D. What are your toy grails? And I and Derek, actually, we both kind of extended this a little bit. We're going to go into not just toy grails, but stuff that might either not exist that we would love to see happen, or, you know, a grail that we might own now, something that's not necessarily a toy. It could be like, you know, a CD or a comic or, you know, whatever. You want to start this one off, or?
I'll go first, because I feel like I definitely have less than you.
Your brother.
Listen, I love my collectibles. I do. But I feel like most things that I want to see represented probably already exist. And if they don't, they're probably in the works somewhere. So that's number one. But I will say, if we are taking the question that route, grails or things that we want to exist that don't currently, we did a great episode last year at Halloween time about Halloween things that don't exist that we wish did exist. I think it's episode either 2 or 3. So
yeah, it was an
if
early
you're really
one.
into this idea, very early. So if you're really into this idea, there's a whole podcast sort of dedicated to that, and it's Halloween themed. So definitely go check that out. Now, with that out of the way, grails that exist that I don't have, that I could get, but they're just either hard to come by, or they're a little too out of my price range at this point, or I have nowhere to put them. 2 really came to mind for this. The first one is the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. It's called the Ironic Punishment set, and that was by McFarlane Toys from the early 2000s. So, again, everything in my life always comes back to Treehouse of Horror. I feel like that's the single most influential thing in my life, or specifically the Halloween episodes of The Simpsons. But this is the bit where Homer is in hell, and they're feeding him donuts. The demons are feeding him donuts.
Yeah, okay.
And he's supposed to, you know, it's torture, so he's supposed to be fed donuts and donuts. And the joke is that he gets so fat, and they just keep feeding him donuts. Hell runs out of donuts, so they can't torture him anymore. So back in the day, McFarlane actually turned this into a working toy set where it's the whole scene. You know, he's hooked up to the machine, and the donuts, you know, can get fed into his mouth, and it actually works. Like, they made little mini donuts that you put on rods, and I don't know if it's like wind up or how it works, but basically you can make Homer, this big fat Homer, eat all of these donuts that are packed in with it. I just love it.
Did you post this the other day?
Oh, no, I don't think I did.
No, because I was scrolling and I did see this. I was like, damn, I didn't know that this existed. Like, McFarlane, wow. Like, they ventured into some weird stuff, and Simpsons is one of those things that I felt was kind of, like, out of left field for McFarlane, since, like, you know, they do the Spawn thing, they do the Mortal Kombat thing, but, like, Playmates eventually got Simpsons. I don't know if it was before or after. But McFarlane doing
during,
Simpson, it wasn't during. All right.
I
So
think
they
it
were
was
just
during.
like
I think there was multiple companies at
licensing
that, point,
that out to just anybody who would touch Simpsons at that point in time.
I think so.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the only McFarlane Treehouse of Horror set that they did.
No,
either.
no, not at all.
But yeah, so that's one of my big ones, and I actually remember being in Toys R Us as a kid, and I begged my mom for that. I was like, I need this, and she was like, absolutely not, because I remember it being something like $50 or something like that.
Oh
and she
yeah,
was like,
easily.
I'm not spending $50 on this toy for you. That's not really even a toy. It's more of a collector's piece. So I'll never forget that, because I was there. I saw it in person. It wasn't like something I discovered later on in life. Like,
Right.
I had it in my hands, and she was like, absolutely not. Like, maybe Santa will bring it to you. Spoiler alert, he didn't.
That one would have been the one to get too, because like McFarlane toys, not so much nowadays, but like before when they were doing like the Movie Maniacs and stuff, they weren't really known for articulation at all. They were like simple, just like still figures. They didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
But like at least this thing, you could like feed it donuts, and it had like other accessories that you like did things with it, and that would have, oh man, that would have been the McFarlane toy to get, hands down.
Now, I'm not done with McFarlane. There is one more thing
really?
in my grails. So
Let's hear it.
It is, again, a McFarlane set. Now, I don't know, like you just said, there wasn't really articulation or whatever. What I will give McFarlane is McFarlane was the first company to really do collector's pieces and do them well.
Yep.
So they weren't over articulated. It wasn't like NECA where you can buy it and out of the box you can pose it a million different ways and take all this toy photography. But like at that point, that wasn't on anybody's radar, right?
No, not at all.
Nobody is taking pictures with their 1 megabyte digital camera and uploading it to a chat forum somewhere. They were like designed to sit on a shelf or in a collector's case, and that's it. So for a long, long time, now I did finally get it. But the Movie Maniacs were like one of my grails because I loved them. They're so great. And my uncle actually had a set and gave me the set of his Movie Maniacs. So I've got a bunch of Movie Maniacs. I love them to death still to this day. They might not have the best sculpts compared to now, but there's just like such a charm about the Movie Maniacs and that early McFarlane, the way that they would sculpt things. My current grail that I would love to have a set of, and I think that actually there's multiple waves of it, but the Twisted Fairy Tales that they put out.
Yep, those are cool.
They're just so cool. Like, they're not your standard Ghostface or Ash from, Army of Darkness or whatever. It's like they literally looked at Grimm's Fairy Tales, Peter Pumpkin Eater, Gretel and Hansel, and they just made it fucking gross and gnarly. And it was like Todd McFarlane was sitting there like, how can I turn these public domain tales into like horror movies that don't exist?
And they are like completely scary. Like what you see from like Pinhead and stuff like that, it just like through and through is so demented looking, everything that he does for these lines. Like, not to go off too much off topic, but like the two that I'm most familiar with when it comes to these things is I think it's Twisted Christmas.
Yep.
Twisted Christmas, like phenomenal line. And then there's the Twisted Wizard of Oz too. And they are just beautiful figures. They just look so demented, and like Dorothy is basically in like bondage, and she is, fully BDSM'd out, and it's just it's not what you would expect, and it is beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. So I just love those. Big horror guy. I love horror movies, and I just love the old McFarlane toys, really. That's kind of what it boils down to. I've just got such a thing for them. Like, I kind of just want to rebuy Movie Maniacs just because I like them so much.
Yeah.
I have them, and I just love them that much, So
like you
those
said,
are my grails.
They have a certain charm to them, and I mean, they hit that nostalgic bone just right. They, like you said, they were the first ones to really do that, and they did a pretty good job for what they were working with.
Big time. So what about you?
So me, prepare for the list, suckers. So I'm breaking this down into 3 categories. So I got some that are toys, some that are actually food related, and another just like things that I grills that I do own that I would consider a grill, I guess. Stuff that I don't have. So toys, I would love to say that I've completed the Playmates run of the original TMNT series. That's a very, very hard thing to do, but it's been done. I think people have done it anyways.
Yeah.
But I would like to own at least a sealed canister of either the green or the purple or both retro mutagen ooze canisters from back in the day. Not one that's open and you can see the slimes all dried up. Like, I want one that's sealed. Boy, what else? Do you know what ooze it is? It's not a Turtles thing.
Right. No, I don't think I do.
So it's this like super old toy. I don't remember if it's from like the 70s or the 80s. I want to say it's the 70s, but it's just like, you should look it up really quick if you haven't seen it before. But it's this like almost Stretch Armstrong like kind of plastic rubbery outside, and it's got a bunch of holes in the face, and you fill it up with slime. This like red slime comes with a big like almost looks like bubbles, a jar of bubbles, but it's just slime on the inside, and you fill it up and you squeeze it and it like pops out of all the holes in it. And
wait, what is this called again?
It's called Ooze It. It's just ooze and it.
Ooze It.
Yeah.
Let's see.
The thing is
Ooze
just
It toy.
Fucking
oh my god, there's a
banger.
green alien figure from 1981. Is
okay,
that him?
so like really, really early 80s. Yeah, totally.
Bro, he kind of looks like a ghoulie.
Yeah, kinda.
He kind of has a ghoulie vibe about him.
He's definitely got. I could see that.
Band.
Yep, I could see that.
Okay, he's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's about like $500 on eBay.
Well, hey, no, the one I'm looking at here, this is a deal. It's only $8 expedited shipping, and it's $299.99. And you can make an offer.
Ooh. I feel like it has to be fake. That has to be fake.
I don't know, dude. It's pretty grody.
Yeah?
He's got dirt all over him. Maybe they just went out and like rubbed him in the playground. You know?
Maybe. But no, like the ones in boxes and ones that are complete, they have all the accessories. Like there's like little plugs. It's like a yellow kind of pluggy system thing you put into his eyeballs and his mouth. They usually go for quite a pretty penny. I guess the last toy item I would like to, I guess there's two. I would like to own a sealed firehouse from the real Ghostbusters, and I mean that would be just spectacular to have a sealed one. You don't see that too often, and when you do, like, it's people who are clearly collectors or people that are like clearly they know what they have and they want thousands of dollars for it. It'll never happen. Then I guess the last toy item that I don't have, Sharp-Hand Joe. I want a fucking Sharp-Hand Joe figure. Like, so bad.
I want a Sharp-Hand. Yes. Oh my god. He can sit proudly next to my shitty sculpt McFarlane Freddy. All right.
Right. Yeah, man, I have one figure from the Sungold's monster line. I have the horrible knockoff of the what is he? The Wolfman. I don't even know what he's called. It's not called the Wolfman, but it's, you know, he's a Wolfman knockoff. I have that. I paid like $10 for him, and I was like, fuck. I never jumped so fucking fast in my entire life. I seen that pop up in eBay for a couple bucks. I was like, fuck yeah, it's mine. It's usually like $40. I was like, nope, he's mine today, pals. Sorry. But yeah, Sharp-Hand Joe, he's an expensive one.
Could his name be like Mr. Howell or some
Mr.
shit?
Mr. Howell? I don't remember. I'm sure it's something really dumb.
Yeah, Sharp-Hand Joe. Oh my god, I'm surprised. Like, he's kind of become an icon.
He's this huge icon now. Yeah,
in and of himself, you know. Like, I'm surprised nobody's tried to reboot Sharp-Hand Joe or just like make, you know, replicas or, you know, give him his own TV spinoff or something. I would watch that.
Hell yeah.
Sharp-Hand Joe talk. I'm all about that.
Definitely. I'm sure that someone out there has made some boots of them, but like, them bootleg figures can go pretty expensive real quick.
We should make our own boots.
Oh, I would love to.
Oh my god.
To be continued. But anyhows, food stuff. A big one for me would be an original Ecto Cooler juice box sealed. It's just one of them things. Like, I feel the need to have that, and like, I love the all the other variations of it. I love the ones with the X-Men stuff on the front. I love the newer ones where they were kind of, it was just like a yellow box and he had like stuff orbiting around him, the Slimer did. Just very cool box, and that's the one I'm familiar with the most, but I want that original 80s one, the green one. Like, just, I don't want to pay $300 for a sealed box of it, unfortunately. Not yet.
But it does have to be sealed so you can take a nice big swig out of it. You want to make sure that nobody drank out of it before you know?
Yeah. The beautiful brown seawater. It's just a quick gurgle in the back of your throat.
Seawater. I love that.
Then the other food item I feel like I desperately need. There's this Dr. Pepper that basically nobody can get unless you sign up for the Pepper Club, and they randomly pick you. There's like a huge waiting list. You will not get on it anytime this year or the next. Like, I've been on it for like 4 years waiting to get on it. And when it's your birthday, they send you randomly a case. I think it's like 3 or 4 cans. I can't remember. Maybe it might even be 2 of Dr. Pepper birthday cake flavored. It's like, I don't remember if it's like Dr. Pepper frosting, like icing and cake. Icing on the cake, I think it's called.
Okay.
There's a couple on eBay, and they want like a crazy $10,000 for it. It was like
$10,000.
Yeah, currently listed.
I don't know. I feel like you should take out a loan and just see what happens, you know?
I mean, it's just... Yeah, we could probably go that route. Who needs a car, you know?
You basically just need to treat it like you're shorting a stock. Take out a loan for 10 grand, buy it for 10 grand, put it up there for 15 and hope that it sells in time that you need to make your first loan payment. All right. Then you pay it off in full, no interest. Now you've gamed the system.
Well, I'm sure there's plenty of other Dr. Pepper enthusiasts. Why don't I just like take a syringe and like take my share, and then in like little tubes or something, I'll just like squirt a little bit in each one and sell them for like, I don't know, $500 a piece.
That's a great idea. Absolutely. Wow, we are quickly becoming very, very shady people on this podcast.
Shady but economical in these trying times.
In these trying times, I'll do anything.
I'll do
put
it
my
all.
daughter through med school.
We moved on from... we graduated from sending out pictures of Derek's Jurassic Park feet to selling a bunch of tubes of Dr. Pepper.
If there's anything that happens on the Leftover Pizza podcast, it's a scheme. We're hatching schemes left and right. Stick with us.
Then these are just personal grills that I own, I guess. First one being the complete set in box, the Universal Monsters TMNT figures. I've talked about them way too many times. That's as far as I'm going with that. Another one, I do own a second print of TMNT number 1. I scored that for like $250, like, oh man, it was like 10 years ago. And now that has just blown up in price. It's like a couple $1,000 book, and I'm just really happy I got it. I would love to have a first print, but that's not going to happen. It's like 14 grand right now or higher. It might be up into like the 40 grand region now, I think. I can't remember. I think the highest one that sold was like 45 grand. But it was like graded 9.8 or something, or 9.6. I don't know. It was a really high graded piece. So, yeah, never going to happen. I'll sit here happy with my raw second print that's not slabbed graded or any of that stuff.
You'll sit there with your birthday cake Dr. Pepper that you spent 10 grand on, sipping and thinking about how you can scheme your way into a first print TMNT.
Absolutely.
Well, speaking of TMNT, Paul R. asked us which Ninja Turtle is our favorite. So I'll go first, short and sweet. Leonardo.
Good choice.
I'm basing this off of the 80s cartoon and 80s/90s movies, because I know they've sort of played with the personalities a bit over time, and they sort of change things around. So those iterations of that character always resonated with me. I think because I was just like this. Well, I guess if I'm going to get deep with it, I have some really bad feet. Like I've told you this before, but I was born with club feet, and they're pretty messed up. So I've never been very athletic, and I really can't get around too well. So I feel like he's just so cool, and he was just like so swift, and like he just kicked ass. So I always just really identified with that. I'm like, man, if I could just be as cool as Leonardo,
the Boy
it
Scout,
wouldn't matter about my feet. Yeah, exactly. He's just a good boy. He's just a good boy.
He's a good boy. He does what he's told.
But now I guess now that I'm older, Michelangelo is pretty great, just because he's pretty funny.
He's the party dude.
He is the party dude. You know that dude's doing Jaeger bombs at like 3 a.m.
Jaeger bombs
in a sewer.
Fucking Jaeger bombs. Jaeger bombs.
Oh, and you know what? One more thing that Leonardo has going for him is, wasn't he voiced by Johnny Knoxville in the first
one
Michael Bay TMNT movie?
Weird story. I don't understand it, but they had 2 people voicing Leonardo for the first one. They must have got Johnny Knoxville on there like really early on, and then he must have like flaked out at some point, and they were like, fuck it, we're not recording any of this other stuff again, so we'll just have this other guy fill in. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere.
Wow, I never even picked up on that. Yep. I was like really thrown off when it wasn't Johnny Knoxville in the sequel, and I was like, wait, what? Whatever. No big loss.
What the fuck happened to Johnny? Johnny boy, come back.
I just feel like he had some contractual obligations over at Paramount that needed to be filled, and they were like, listen, if you do this voice for Leonardo, we'll give you money for Jackass 4. Yeah. And he was like, all right, but you're only getting 1 take.
One.
So that's my choice. That's my pick, Leonardo.
Right on. Man, for me, early on when I was like a youngin', I always had this infatuation with Raph, especially from like the cartoon, the original 80s cartoon and the first movie. He just seems so badass for no reason at all. Even like I just never understood it. Not so much in the cartoon. He was the wisecracker, and I thought he was funny. But in the first movie, he was the first turtle to on live action to say "damn," like I was like, oh, he's fucking bad, bro. Like this guy swearing and shit. Like,
ooh, he swore. Ooh, he swore. I like him.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, okay, this one means business, and he's like chasing after people and going out on his own. He doesn't give a fuck what the other guys do. He's doing what he wants to do, and yeah, I guess that resonated with me.
I hate to say it this way, but as an adult, you watch that movie and you look at Raph and you just go, this guy fucks.
This guy. Holy fuck.
You go, this guy?
This guy
fucks.
Surely this guy
and
has.
Master Splinter knows it too.
Oh, yeah. He's
Master
like.
Splinter's like, don't go out. I know what you're doing.
Raphael,
you gotta
son.
bleep that. I can't. That sounds racist. I don't mean it that way. That's what he sounds like.
It's him. Yeah, through and through. Holy fuck. Yeah, Raphael fucks for sure. But yeah, I used to love Raph. And then, ironically enough, my focus did kind of go into Leo, I guess, a little more towards my, like, after I turned 21, I guess, like my more adult life. I, like, started picking up, was like, yeah, Leo is kind of like, he is the leader. Obviously, everyone knows that. And I'm speaking mostly from, like, Mirage comic books. He kept the team together. He's the one that has to keep everyone focused and all that good stuff. And he, no matter what's going on, Raph is being a dickhead or whatever and running off on his own. He's the one that pulls the group back together. He has a lot of weight on his shoulders. And especially in the new series, the IDW series, like his one-off story just before shit starts hitting the fan, there's one book that really resonates with me a lot, is where they're all like at this farmhouse after like a bunch of shit goes down. They all kind of retreat to this farmhouse, and it's all four of them, and it's Leo just talking about the four of them being together and just like being brothers, and it was just like, fuck yeah, that's really cool. I really like that a lot. I guess it kind of like, it reminds me of my siblings, I guess, because I have 3 siblings, and I'm just like, I get it. Like, he's the one, the like, I don't want to say the black sheep, because he's not the black sheep, but he's the one in the middle, the balance, and he's just like looking at all the other ones from, you know, his point of view, like, I got to keep it together for these guys, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, I'm a bit of a piece of shit when it comes to which turtle I like in general, because I love them all equally. Like, there's something,
I love them all.
it's really, it's horrible. I'll never be able to pick between them. Like, they all have some kind of personality traits that I enjoy about all of them. But I will say that my favorite version of the turtles is the Mirage comics, like the original. I love that they were all pretty much the same. They all wore the same thing, and they were a little bit more brutal. They weren't especially just for kids, I guess. They were kind of more of an adult-oriented thing at one point in time, and I like that they had that edge to them, I guess. And now, you know, it's for everybody. It's not just for the adult people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it kind of sucks that he specifically had to ask about which turtle was our favorite, which he said character, because at one point Krang was voiced by Gilbert Gottfried, and that's just perfect pairing, perfect casting.
Yeah, absolutely. Fuck, Shredder, he was voiced by, what's his name?
Uncle Phil.
Uncle Phil, that's it, there we go. Jesus Christ, it's been a long day. It's been a long week. But yeah, Uncle Phil.
It's been a long month. It's been a long year. That's why Raph's so pissed off. It's been such a long week and year.
Yeah,
He's just trying to fuck, bro.
Just absolutely. All right, I'll take this next question here. This one comes from Isaac E. Live with one. Oh, and he has 2 questions, by the way. There's one and then a follow-up question. Live with one, party with one, banish one. Count Chocula, Boo Berry, Frankenberry, Fruit Brute, and Yummy Mummy. We'll answer that one first.
Yeah, so kind of a spin on Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Yeah.
I appreciate that he didn't make me say which of these monsters I want to fuck. We've had enough talking about that already with Raphael. I've gone a lot, first a lot in this episode. You go first. I want to hear your picks first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh boy, live with one. Probably Count Chocula. For literally no reason whatsoever. He's a vampire. He's probably pretty neat, keeps to himself a lot, sleeps all day. You know, he's only up at the wee hours of the night, so
okay,
can see that benefiting well as a roommate.
Okay.
Plus his cereal's pretty good.
Can I tell you, and I'm going to be spoiling mine here, can I tell you why I chose not to live with him? I think he would be an insufferable prick. All right. I feel like he would just be talking in his very sexy accent. I switched into something. I just feel like he would just be doing that and just saying the most fucking annoying shit about how he's 3,000 years old and doesn't look a day over 33.
Yeah.
And, and just, they'd probably just be like, critiquing everything that you're cooking, asking why you're not eating his cereal. He slaves all day to make this cereal, and you won't even eat it. And you're like, dude, I just want to have a piece of fucking garlic on my pizza. Leave me the fuck alone. And I just feel like he's always wearing too much cologne.
Too much cologne.
So that's why I didn't pick him. Not a big deal, but that's just my personal take on the guy.
Yeah, I guess he could be a shitty roommate. He opens up the refrigerator and, who the fuck ate all of the deli ham I just bought? It wasn't for you.
I'm also not clear on him as a vampire, because the common thing with vampires that we accept is that they can't eat real food. They have to drink blood. Yeah. So, is he drinking blood? Or are we replacing the blood with chocolate and he's only eating chocolate?
Only eating cereal. His tagline was, I want to eat your cereal.
So I can't have cereal in that house? Like, he's just going to be eating my cereal left
Oh,
and right?
yeah. He's going to bogart all of your cereal, for sure.
Jeez. Yeah, another reason not to live with him. But you chose him. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's good for you.
Yeah, I'll so you don't have to live with him, I will. Okay, I'll take Chalky.
Yes,
I'll take our Chalky boy.
So who are you partying with then?
Partying with Booberry. Straight up. Booberry's a fucking party
that.
animal.
I bet he is. He is. His eyes are always like halfway closed. Like, that dude's always faded. You know, he's just getting
completely
fucked
faded
up on a regular basis.
Completely. Yep. Good point. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Now, banishing one, man, this one is really hard. And I don't want to say none of them because I did that with the turtles, kind of. I don't remember if it was Fruit Brute or Yummy Mummy, but one of them was like a lemon lime flavored cereal at one point. Was that Yummy Mummy?
No, I think that was Fruit Brute at one point. And
I don't remember which one.
Out. Now it's cherry.
Okay.
Yummy Mummy's always been like an orange cream thing.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
I swear one of them was like not orange, but like some other citrusy flavor at one point. I never had it.
Fruit Brute was. It was a different flavor, and then they swapped it to cherry for like that last re-release, from what I remember reading.
All right.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So you're thinking correct.
So the early version of Fruit Brute that can go. Sorry, it's gone, and it is gone. So it's not like I really hurt anyone's feelings.
Never coming back.
Never. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so the one that I'm living with is Frankenberry, because not only is he my favorite of the main 3 cereals, I'll say it that way, because he's not my favorite cereal, he is my favorite of the main 3 cereals by a long shot. Blueberry is fine, Count Chocula is fine, Frankenberry, underappreciated, underloved. I heard so many people say that it's a gross cereal. I disagree. I really like it.
I wouldn't say it's a gross cereal. I think it's in the top 2. I like, in my opinion, it goes Count Chocula first, just because I think that's the best one for me anyway. Then Frankenberry, then probably Blueberry is probably at the bottom, especially now. Like, they're just, a lot of people talk to people about how they don't taste the same, and it's true. They don't taste the same as they used to. Nothing does. Nothing in the junk food world at all. It's not going to taste the same. But I definitely would rate it higher than Blueberry, and most definitely higher than Fruit Brute and Yummy Mummy.
Oh, you're killing me. Anyways, we're not talking about the cereal just yet. We're talking about why. So I would live with Frankenberry because I feel like he'd be a very good roommate. I feel like he'd be very quiet, doesn't talk much, very, very pleasing color on him. All right, I like the pink. I like the vibes of him. I think he's probably a pretty funny guy. He's got that gauge sticking out of his head. Oh, yeah. So that's pretty funny. Yeah. Visual comedy, visual gags all day. So you're probably going to be living with him. He's probably pretty clean, I mean, well, no, probably not that clean. So who would I party? I would party with Fruit Brute because that guy is an animal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally an animal. He's literally an animal. Let's just be clear. Fruit Brute is my favorite of the cereals.
No shit.
Dude, when that came out in 2013, again, was in college, and my roommate and I were going absolutely crazy for Fruit Brute. So it started because we were like obsessed with Quentin Tarantino at that point.
Okay.
Because what college kid isn't?
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
And we found out like he would sneak boxes of Fruit Brute in the background of his old movies. Oh, yeah. Because it had been long discontinued at that point. Yeah. So in like Pulp Fiction, you can see a box of Fruit Brute on the shelf. So we were just naturally intrigued and we're like, what the hell is Fruit Brute? Never heard of this before. So we got it. We plowed through probably 5 or 6 boxes in the Halloween season.
Hell yeah.
Like that is all we were doing was eating Fruit Brute.
That is such a fucking vibe. Just 2 college kids like going out buying fucking boxes of cereal and just plowing through them and like just this adventure. Like, oh man, to be a college kid again. Fuck.
Oh my god, it was awesome. Like we were literally just like once a week, like, oh yo, we gotta go to Target again.
Get the Fruit Brute. Hell yeah, dude.
So we were like on the hunt for Fruit Brute, and then I remember I actually had a few boxes left over that I was saving in case it never came back, and then it didn't come back. So the next year I was eating a year-old box of Fruit Brute by myself and just like downing it. So strong memories with Fruit Brute. Love it. I think he's a great character. Frankenberry is still my favorite of all the characters, but Fruit Brute is like a close second. He's special, you know? And I would banish Fruity Yummy Mummy because he brings nothing to the table. His cereal is not my bag. I do not like orange cream things. And a whole cereal based around that is nasty. And I mean, he's a mummy, so he probably stinks. So I just don't want him anywhere near me. Like, let's just get him out of the gang.
He had that really cool jingle on commercial, though. It makes your tummy go yummy. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, that is
so good,
true.
so catchy.
But Fruit Brute was also voiced by Wolfman Jack, I think. So,
was he?
Yeah, I think
you're probably right.
So. And he had a cool voice, so he's got that going for him.
Dude, that's true. That's true. I think those are some good picks. Good picks. So the follow-up question: who should be the new cereal monster mascot, and what flavor?
I'm curious to see what you say here.
So I got two. I couldn't land on one.
This
it's
guy
just so hard.
Can't pick one.
He's
always got two. He's got to pick everybody.
Yep. It's
right,
too hard. It's too hard. At first I was like, well, without a doubt, we have to go with like a creature from the Black Lagoon. Like, how dare
that's
they?
Mine. I said Gillman.
Gillman?
That's what I said.
Oh, did you?
Okay,
shit.
so we landed in the same spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't pick a flavor.
The
I didn't pick a flavor for him. What flavor is he getting? Why don't you take that?
I picked the flavor.
You got the flavor?
Okay. So I said we'd have to pick Gillman because it rounds out the classic six.
Yes.
You've got your werewolf, your mummy, your Frankenstein, your Dracula. Who else am I missing? Oh, well, a ghost.
The mummy.
Which, maybe,
the ghost.
Yeah, you got the ghost. I mean, the ghost, I guess, kind of covers your like generic spooky bases, and then the creature. Like you need the creature in that to sort of form your monster squad. You know, and I said his flavor should be grape.
Grape?
Because it would be fun to say Gillman grape.
Gillman grape. Now, what kind of grape we talking? Like white grape or the purple grapes? Like what kind of flavor? Jelly grape?
Like jelly grape. And I say jelly grape because recently they just brought back, I didn't even know that it existed in the first place, but they brought back grape flavored Pop-Tarts.
Yes.
And I thought those were going to be grape jelly flavored Pop-Tarts. They're not. They've got
candy.
like a Jolly Rancher grape going on with it. And it's like kind of off-putting.
Yeah.
So I feel like with Fruit Brute being cherry now, Fruity Yummy Mummy representing the absolute garbage orange, it just makes sense that grape is represented in there somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Hell yeah. Great pick.
Now, you could also go lime because like green cereal or whatever else.
See, that was the route I was thinking in my head at the top of my head just now, but like lime cereal.
Or matcha. It could be matcha.
Dude, that would be interesting. That would be different.
That would probably be
matcha
good.
cereal? Did you start something
matcha
there?
And then mix it with Count Chocula? That might be pretty good.
That would be kind of dope. Yeah. As long as they don't do mint. Because that would just destroy it. Like, I like mint, but like, I don't want it. I don't want it in my cereal.
No. All right, I'd change my answer from Gillman grape to matcha because I feel like it would just be a better flavor, and it could be green. But yeah.
Gillman matcha. All right.
Then matcha. Okay, so what's your pick then?
The other pick. Oh man, I feel like it would have to be like a Bride of Frankenstein kind of thing. I just feel like it's
the
time
other thing
to.
I was thinking too.
It's time to introduce a female cereal monster. Like, they need representation too, I feel, right?
Yeah, you're probably right.
That was the thing. Like, I really feel like we need the creature. But, like, the first female cereal monster, people would go fucking apeshit over. I mean, me and you would. I know that Instagram would.
Absolutely.
Like, come on.
Absolutely. The only reason I didn't, and that was like on my back burner, the only reason I didn't go with the Bride of Frankenstein is because I was like, I just feel like Gillman is like underrepresented.
Yeah,
We need that
you're right.
creature action going here.
You're right.
But no, you're right.
Look at it this way too, though. Like, think of they all had like their cool marshmallows over the years, like all kinds of different ones. Think of like lightning bolt marshmallows up in that. Like, I think that would work so well, like really, really well. Or even if they could do like a design of like the hair with the one little white bolt that's through them, like, think it could be pretty sick.
So my idea for the cereal pieces, if we did that, would that they would have to be white and black.
Yes.
Like, it couldn't just be one or the other. Like, you'd have to have that contrast.
Absolutely. Yep. You would need both.
I just envisioned that. So, all right. Well, we were on the same page. Although I feel like those are pretty low-hanging fruit when you're thinking about like monsters in the monster cereals. Like, you're just trying to fill out that representation of all the classic monsters, which makes sense.
Yep. For sure.
Like, I don't want any fucking Freddy Krueger ass.
Yeah. They got pop
in
cereal for all that stuff. It's already been done as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. Well, I think we got that one taken care of. What's our next question here?
All right. So our next question comes from Dr. Jazzman1, and he said, "What is your favorite cartoon series?" And I know you and we both love our cartoons.
Oh yeah.
One. You get one.
I get
and
one.
You can explain it a little bit, but this is rapid fire,
Can I show you this list here? It's this here.
Oh my god.
But you know what? I'll do you a solid. And just say one that I've been really crushing on lately.
Lately? Oh, you don't just have an overall favorite cartoon?
No. This one has been every night before bed lately.
Okay. I'm ready.
You ready? You want me to hit you with it? Space Ghost, Coast to Coast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I know that you watched that before bed, but you put that right up there for you, huh?
It's up there right now. Man, it's just, it's such a cozy cartoon to watch for some reason for me. It's like, I don't want to say it's boring. It's like borderline where it's like nothing's really happening, but like every once in a while you look up and something funny happens and you giggle a little bit, but like you're not missing any plots or anything like that. It's just people. It's a fucking late night talk show that doesn't even matter. Like, it's nonsense the whole way through. One of Adult Swim's like very fine pieces of art, in my opinion.
True.
So yeah, currently that's been the favorite. That's what I've been putting most of my attention towards. What about you?
My favorite cartoon series. I just took this as overall number one forever. And it's just got to be The Simpsons for me. It's like, it's again, seems like low-hanging fruit, but man, I have not spent more time with any series in the history of my life than I have with The Simpsons.
Agreed. Yeah, I could completely understand that. I guess, man, overall, that's hard because I loved so many cartoons. Like, I loved everything Nickelodeon did, like, up until SpongeBob hit. I loved the beginning of SpongeBob too, don't get me wrong, but everything before that was gold. Disney cartoons were all the rage with me when I was a kid. Like, we used to get the VHS tapes of like the cartoon classics and shit like that, and I loved watching that. Cartoon Network. I mean, Cartoon Fridays. Like, holy fuck. Every good cartoon all at once. Every Friday. Like, so good. There's just too many good cartoons out there.
I mean, I'll rattle off a quick list. Okay. Because we have a question coming up that has a lot of cartoons in it, too. Right. It's, like, very cartoon-centric. Mm-hmm. But, like, so Simpsons is my number one overall. But, like, I mean, the staples. Your South Park. Your Beavis and Butthead. King of the Hill. Mm-hmm. Futurama, like all these things, you know, those are all really great stuff. I really, really love those. Futurama I never really got into, but only recently I have been, and man, that's like some really, really, oh my god, so fucking good. And then like
so good.
New stuff like Smiling Friends, that's an Adult Swim show. I fucking love that. That stems from YouTube animation, some guys on YouTube that I've watched forever and ever, which is just really, really good shit.
Nice.
Man, like some of the more underrepresented stuff from the 2000s when I was growing up on Saturday morning, like Lloyd in Space, The Weekenders. Those were
Oh,
Disney
yeah. Yep.
Disney Saturday morning cartoons. Stuff on the WB like Shaolin Showdown. That was a really great show that nobody seems to remember or talk about. The Jackie Chan Adventures was another great one. You know?
Yeah. Wow, I
could go
forgot
on for
about
days
that.
and forever. And how about like the ones that were popular at the time and like nobody talks about now, like Hercules, the animated series or whatever the fuck it was called.
Wasn't there a what was that? Emperor's New Groove animated series at one point?
There was, but I was kind of I loved that movie so much that I couldn't bring myself to watch the series.
Yeah, I never watched it either. The movie was too good.
The Lilo and Stitch series though was really good. I
Remember
really
the
did
Lilo
like
and
the
Stitch
Lilo
series?
and Stitch series.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, man. There's so much animation. That's the problem. Classic animation, right? Looney Tunes. Gotta love Looney Tunes.
Yeah, Looney Tunes is up there.
Tex Avery. I mean, that shit's pretty good.
Holy fuck! You just opened a gate. Tex Avery. Holy shit,
yeah, dude. So big animation fan.
Yep.
Probably not as big as some people out there, but if there's animation, I'm watching it. At least an episode, just to get the vibe of something, you know?
Yep. Animation, which brings us to our next question from Mike M. If you both had to put together 3 hours of a Saturday morning cartoon lineup, 30-minute shows, what are the cartoons you're putting in? There's a follow-up too. If you could make a live action of any Saturday morning cartoon, what would it be? Boy, just gonna rattle this one off quick. I thought this one out for a little while. Obviously, TMNT has to be there. And these aren't necessarily just Saturday morning cartoons. These are just cartoons that I would just do in my own lineup. So,
watch
TMNT,
for 3 hours.
Absolutely. Street Sharks, Real Ghostbusters, X-Men, Battletoads, and of course Scooby-Doo.
Which Scooby-Doo? That's important.
Oh, the OG Scooby-Doo.
The OG
it's gotta
Scooby-Doo.
be. Yeah. As much as I loved like a pup named Scooby-Doo, I liked a pup named Scooby-Doo at some point too. Like I loved all that stuff, but the OG was just so good.
All right, I feel that. I love any and all Scooby-Doo. There really hasn't been a bad series. There's been a couple series that are like, and those have only been recent because they changed up the art styles and made them weird.
Yeah, yep.
But all right, so that's a pretty good list. Some of it I sort of predicted, like Real Ghostbusters. Street Sharks was kind of a surprise for me.
That one's out there, yeah. It's just because I haven't watched enough of them. I feel like I need to start watching enough of them to be able to talk about them.
So, but I'm glad. So yours and I, we have kind of pretty different lists here, and I think it's just because there's a little bit of an age gap. So I think some of the things that I picked, you might not have been watching when I was watching it, which is really cool because we got different lists here. So if I'm making a 3-hour block, I'm picking Pepper Ann.
I was just gonna say Pepper Ann's gonna be in there. Pepper Ann is so fucking good. Don't get me wrong. I love Pepper Ann. Good. So good. Continue.
So good and so underappreciated of a show. Like
you're so right.
There are two shows at that point. It's Doug and it's Pepper Ann. Doug gets all the credit and Pepper Ann gets none of the credit. Like, dude, I was waking up early on Saturday mornings so I could catch Pepper Ann specifically. I was obsessed with that show. And it was so weird when nobody was talking about it when we got older. And I was like, what the hell? Like, I thought this had this big cultural impact, and it didn't. And it deserves it.
And now it's like, it's a meme now where people are like, wait a minute, what is this? I know this. And I'm just like, what the fuck's wrong with you? It's Pepper Ann. Pepper Ann, Pepper Ann.
Pepper Ann, how you doing? Dude, one of the best theme songs ever.
Dude, fuck yeah, absolutely.
So, Pepper Ann Stan for life. It's on Disney Plus, by the way, and I've watched it recently. It holds up. It's really good. So if you're listening to this and you haven't watched it or you haven't seen it in a long time, go watch it. Really good. Can't recommend it enough. So you got to kick off the day with Pepper Ann. I'm letting it bleed into Rocco because Rocco is a classic, and I think that was probably, if I think about it, my favorite of all of the Nicktoons.
Like some of the OG Nicktoons.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to like actually pick one because they all feel like your children, you know?
Yep.
But that one is probably the one that I revisit the most, that holds up the best as an adult. Like, it worked when I was a kid, and it works even better now because I get the jokes.
Yeah.
Invader Zim. I am a fucking sucker for Invader Zim.
Good pick.
I love the art style. I love how weird it is. I love the voice acting. Zim is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
That movie that they put out a couple years ago, excellent.
Phenomenal.
Amazing.
Yep.
Oh, so good. Ed, and Eddie.
Oh, yeah.
I spent whole summers inside at my grandparents' house watching Ed, and Eddie with them trying to boot my ass out the door to do something outside. And I was like, but I'm watching Ed, and Eddie. What's New Scooby-Doo? I'd throw an episode of that in there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Listen, I love the original. That's what I grew up on, was the original. What's New Scooby-Doo just sort of felt like the original, but updated for us. Like,
Yeah.
they did everything very similar, but kind of just updated how the stories flowed a bit. And it also had that really, really kick-ass theme song by Sum 41.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm going to finish it off with Beetlejuice, because I feel like Beetlejuice, again, a very underrepresented, underappreciated cartoon that really holds up better than it should.
Yeah, completely agree with that. That one's, believe it or not, I didn't watch very much of it. I do remember watching it, and it was on Nickelodeon for a little while there, I believe. Oh man, it was on, I think Snicker Treat 94, I think it was on it. Mm-hmm. It was like one of the first episodes or something. I can't remember. But it's not one that I watched a lot of. My little brother ended up buying the series a while ago, and I totally meant to watch all of it, and I just never did.
I bought the series because it was cheap. It was only like
super
$20.
Cheap. Yeah.
But there's another DVD that they actually have for that show.
Oh, really?
It's a Halloween specific one.
Oh, nice.
And I think it's got like 7 or 8 episodes on it. And that's a really great jumping off point, because I think they picked all the best ones and threw it on there. So definitely snag that DVD, because
you'll have to send me a link.
Worth watching. I'll send you a link. And then I have 2 honorable mentions, because I know this was specifically supposed to be about cartoons, but I also remember there being non-cartoon content.
Oh, yeah.
And there was quite a bit that I was really obsessed with as a kid. But the 2 that stick out in my mind were, going hand in hand with Pepper Ann, Manny the Uncanny. If anybody watched the Disney One Saturday Morning blocks, there were these little shorts in between, and it had a really crazy guy kind of talking like this, and he was screaming into the camera. He had a very Jim Carrey thing going on. He had this crazy fucking hair. He's wearing these big, thick rimmed glasses and a suit always, and he just was going off and doing like these crazy segments for like 5-6 minutes at a time. He would sort of host and lead into shows. He was sort of like your MC for Saturday morning. So I would sneak him in somehow. And then if I had some extra time at like noon, I would sneak in an episode of Secrets of the Crypt Keeper's Haunted House.
Oh shit.
I don't know if you remember that.
I do remember.
That is a deep cut.
It's a very deep cut.
I remember catching it a couple times. It's just such a weird, like, show, because it's a game show hosted by the real actual Crypt Keeper.
Yes.
And they like framed it in such a way where it looked like the kids were in actual mortal danger of dying in death. Like, there was like a bridge that was literally an abyss below them, and I remember them having to dodge fireballs.
Oh, yeah.
And as a kid, I was like, wow, these kids are gonna die on
these
TV.
Kids might actually die. Yeah. The Crypt Keeper is one of them things that just like why?
Right?
Like it had a cartoon. It had action figures, and then that, like, holy fuck. But it was also somehow on like beer advertisements for Halloween. Like
he was everywhere. He was the icon of the 90s.
They need to do that shit again, like, soon.
Agree. So the second part of the question, we've got his follow-up. If you could make a live action show out of any Saturday morning cartoon, what would it be? So I'm going to default to you. What's your answer on that?
I have 2 honorable mentions, and then my one that I think would work. I really wholeheartedly think that a Street Sharks or a Battletoads live action would work pretty well. Now, more than ever, like, I don't think it could have got away with it with like the OG Turtles kind of thing. I just think it was too much. But now I think it would work really, really well. So those are my honorable mentions. If I'm going to be realistic, from Nickelodeon, I think Real Monsters would kill it as a live action.
That was my pick too.
Was it really? No way.
Dude, yes, absolutely.
Dude, think
What are your
about it.
reasons?
It just, man, it just seems like it makes the most sense.
I can like see the aesthetic. Like
Yeah.
I just know like physical sets and like when we say live action, it doesn't mean that people are playing like the parts of
No,
Ickis.
yeah.
Puppets. I'm talking puppets. I'm talking like heavy like makeup on certain people maybe.
Yeah.
Where my brain is going, and I've mentioned this before, I mentioned it in last year's Halloween episodes, probably to death. It's the McDonald's VHS tapes where they did the animated segments.
Yeah.
You know, it was like a 40...
Klasky Chupo was all over that.
Exactly. Well, in all of those movies, there was always like a 10-minute live action lead-in segment where it was the real actual Ronald McDonald. And then...
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, dude. Then there was... you know, the Sunday Dog, they made him into like this weird big like puppet, and Grimace showed up, and Birdie and the Hamburglar all showed up in like weird early CG versions of themselves.
Yeah.
And like the sets literally look like a cartoon, like they were living in a cartoon, which made sense because then it would sort of transitioned to the cartoon portion at a certain point, so everything would go from live action to the cartoon, and it was sort of seamless. That's where my brain went with it, because it's the same animation studio that does Ariel Monsters and does those McDonald ones,
Rugrats.
Yeah, exactly. And I've seen how they did live action stuff, and I was like, well, it was so weird and so good there. Like, I always wanted more of it. It would just make sense if, like, they did that, but with a Halloween theme.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I really think they could get away with that now, especially.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they could go anywhere with it. There isn't, like, one specific thing that's like, this has to happen. This is the quintessential Ariel Monster story. It's not like Turtles, you know what I mean? Whereas there is a quintessential story to it. But, like the first episode of Ariel Monsters, I just watched it like a couple days ago. The big group of monsters at the Monster Academy, and it's Halloween night, but they did so shitty on their tests or whatever, their exams, that the Gromble's not letting them go out. Well, the trio decides to take it among themselves and go out anyways, and they lose Ickis. And they lose him. They accidentally swap him with a kid that dressed up like him because this kid saw him in the trash can, and blah, blah, blah. It, you know where I'm going with this. But, like, even that, like, if they just amped it up a little bit, that would make a fucking spectacular movie for Halloween.
Absolutely. I'm glad that we're on the same page, because my brain went right there. I was like, well, it just makes sense. It just makes sense.
Yeah. Yep.
We've seen what it could be, and I now want to see it.
Yes. And that's why this podcast exists. Two minds thinking alike. Next question.
All right. So our next question comes from Scott O. And again, it's a running theme here. 2 questions. First question. You're a kid on summer break from school. What's your go-to snack or refreshment?
I'm thinking, if we're talking drinks, it's either going to be obviously Ecto Cooler, depending on what era, I guess. If we're keeping cool, it's got to be Ecto Cooler, or... oh, it's a hot summer day. Probably like a Jell-O pudding pop, just because you can't get them fuckers anymore, and they just tasted so much different than anything else, and I think it's a fucking shame that they have discontinued them. But nothing goes down like a nice tall glass of Kool-Aid, so... yeah, Kool-Aid for sure. And if I'm having snacks, like food, probably a couple Kudos bars, since those don't exist anymore. And I'll be honest, most of us didn't care as much about what we were putting in our bodies when we were children.
Hell no.
So I would eat like a complete fucking garbage, like dumpster fire. It would have to be like 2 full bags of Pizza Bites.
Okay, interesting. I'm glad that you brought up Pizza Bites, because now, do you mean pizza rolls, or do you mean like Bagel Bites?
No, not the Bagel Bites. Like, Bagel Bites are good. I like them.
Yeah.
I actually had a couple of them the other night. Really good. Still good. Still hold up to this day. No, but definitely the pizza rolls, like the little pizza roll things.
All right.
Like the mini Hot Pockets, basically.
So, all right. So you and I landed in the same spot, because I would think back to what I was making for myself, what kind of snacks I was eating, and that's it. That was my go-to. It was the Totino's pizza rolls, 100%.
And it all pretty much for me anyways resides on what's tasting good and comes out of the oven quickest. Like, you don't even have to put these in the oven. You put them bitches right in the microwave and you're good to go. You go off to your own little corner of the house and you throw on some cartoons and you got yourself one hell of a fucking night, if I'm being honest.
Exactly. So I was all about the Totino's pizza rolls. For a drink, I easily would have to say it's Sierra Mist, but it's the old formula Sierra Mist. Because they changed it, I found out quite a few years ago now, and it doesn't taste anywhere near what it used to taste like.
Yeah,
I can't even describe it, because everybody was always at that point was always like, well, why would you have Sierra Mist? You could just have a Sprite. And it's like, it's not Sprite. That's
not
why
I'm
picking Sierra Mist. It was like more refreshing. It was almost like spring water, like water that came from a fucking mountain. That was like melting off of a glacier, and it picked up this sweet like nectar on the way. I don't know, man.
It definitely had a certain sophistication to it. Like it tasted nice and light. It wasn't like overly up in your face. Like, you could drink a fuck ton of it. It's so good.
Absolutely.
I remember when like Sierra Mist started coming out and we'd go to Pizza Hut and we'd be like, yeah, can we get like Sprite? And they're like, so Sierra Mist? I was like, what the fuck is that? And then they brought us some, the big jug that they bring out with the water and the ice. And there's just this big thing of Sierra Mist. I was like, this is good. This is really good.
This is too good. This is better.
What did you do to this?
Right. For the life of me, I cannot figure out why they changed the formula of Sierra Mist. Like, it just is not. I've had it many times and it is not the same. So that to me is an exquisite meal. Pizza rolls and Sierra Mist. And I was always, there was a good chunk of time, washing it down with a good humor Reese's peanut butter cup ice cream bar.
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh my God. I haven't had one of them in so long.
On a stick. It was a chocolate shell, because I was having a hard time finding this when I went online today, because they have the Reese's ice creams that are done by Klondike, I believe, which look like a big Reese's peanut butter cup. It's not those.
Oh, yeah, sure.
They have other ones that are almost like the strawberry shortcake bars, where it's got the crumblies all over it. It's not those ones. This one specifically was a magic chocolate shell and just peanut butter ice cream, just dipped. And I remember my sister and I, like, every day, we got obsessed with the movie Wayne's World when we were a kid. We would go swimming, spend almost all of our day swimming, and then come in at probably like 2:30, 3 o'clock. We would pop in Wayne's World on VHS and then run down into the basement while we're still soaking wet, like we've got wet bathing suits. I'd grab 2 of these Reese's bars, come back upstairs, and because we were still soaking wet, her and I would throw towels on the floor, like our beach towels, and we would just stand watching Wayne's World, eating these ice cream bars,
dripping all over
onto the towels until we were dry enough to actually sit on the couch. So that those are my
90s summer
snacks.
In a nutshell.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know exactly what Reese's Pops you're talking about, though. They're kind of like the Dove ones. They just they have the inside, and then you just pop them into the nice little thin shell of chocolate. Like, the chocolate to peanut butter inside ratio is like different on them, and it was just really well done.
They
so
were
good.
exquisite.
And like, I love the little pop that you get when you first bite in. It's just that little. It's so good.
It was the most addicting part about it. Like, because they did it in such a way where you just like sort of bit the right part of the top of that bar and you could feel it pop up at the other end like a friggin' seesaw. And then it would be dripping all over your hands like but it didn't matter to me. I had a wet bathing suit. I just wiped my hands on my bathing suit. My mom hated me.
Yep. Didn't have to do anything else. You were already dripping onto towels and, watching TV. Fuck it.
So the next question from Scott O, I don't have an answer for, but you might.
This one was pretty tough.
It was tough. I couldn't think of anything. What less popular toy line from your childhood were you a fan of?
I'm not even aware of like less popular toy lines. I feel like every toy that came out when we were kids and I was a kid, like, just blew up. It didn't matter if it was in plastic form. Kids wanted to buy it for the most part. There might have been like one or two in a bunch of like toys that kids didn't want out of different lines.
Yeah.
Like there was always one, like, specifically from like the real Ghostbusters when they did the monster figures. Like, nobody wanted Quasimodo, but like, I guess I have to say probably like Crash Dummies was one that I feel like a lot of kids didn't really pick up on, but I loved it for some reason. I just thought like the whole aesthetic of these little characters were really cool, and like you could, you know, beat the fuck out of them, and that was the point of them, was to, like, you know, they came with a car and you smashed it up against the wall, it fell into pieces, you just put it back together again and they're fine. They're good to go. So definitely Crash Dummies.
The Stone Defenders too, is that what you're going to say?
The Stone Protectors is on the list.
No, Stone Defenders,
it is.
I think, is what they were called. Yeah.
Stone Troll Guiles.
Yeah, the Troll
Fucking
Guiles.
Troll Guiles that start yards on fire. Yeah, no, Stone Protectors is there. That was like such a weird line that it's not even Playmates. I can't remember who does it. Basically TMNT knockoffs, and they made, I think, probably like under 20 figures, and they made like a couple of vehicles, and I think that was it. Like, they didn't do anything else with them. They had a cartoon, there was a video game, and they just kind of disappeared, never to be talked about again until two guys created a podcast.
One that I just thought about, that it wasn't less popular, like it was very popular when I was growing up, but nobody seems to talk about it now, were the Tech Deck dudes.
Tech Deck dudes. Dude, I still love Tech Deck.
Like, I love Tech Deck, right? Like, still to this day, like, I buy Tech Decks all the time because they're so cheap and they're just fun. But no, like, specifically the dudes, like the little thumbs,
like the little thumb guys,
guys, and he was on like a skateboard that you couldn't actually use as a fingerboard. Yeah, but they just had so many like different styles, and they all had attitude. And I thought that was so cool. I'm like, wow, these guys have attitude.
Yeah, there was actually a couple that recently came out. There was like a couple of Chase figures. They were zombies, and I fucking wanted them so bad, and I was never able to get them. That was just like the last 4 years some time ago. Like, I saw them at Walmart. Interesting story though. I used to draw the little Tech Deck dude all the time on all my notepads and stuff at school because I thought he was a shit, and everybody thought it was a cock. Everybody's like, you drew a cock on a skateboard. I was like, it's a fucking thumb, dude. It's the Tech Deck guy. He's like, nope, it's a dick. I was like, all right. All right, man. I'm just trying to express my love of skating, and you got to go and take it to that level. Yeah. Thanks, you assholes. I guess lastly, this one's probably a less liked action figure series, the American Gladiators from back in the day. I don't feel like a lot of kids had those. They would rather have like the LJN wrestlers and stuff like that. I always watched American Gladiators when I was a kid, and when I knew that they had figures out and stuff, they had like full play sets too. I was crazy about that, so yeah, I scooped them up right away. American Gladiators, fucking awesome. Next question.
This is it. This is the last one.
This is the last one, and I wanted to end with this one just because it is Halloweeny, and of course we're getting into the Halloween season very, very soon here. This one comes from our buddy old pal over at the Haunted Hangover, Louie. Thanks for giving us this one here. What is the most exotic, unique, or strange Halloween costume you remember wearing? You want to take this one first? Yeah.
Again, don't have much to say because I never actually had very weird costumes growing up. They're pretty run of the mill. When I was really young, in the 90s, I wanted to be Hercules, so I got a Hercules costume. I wanted to be a ninja because Mortal Kombat was a big thing, so I was a ninja. You know? Yep. I guess the most unique costumes that I can remember was there was a stretch of time in my early 20s where Jonah Hill and I looked stupid similar.
I can see it.
We were
Holy
like,
fuck.
at that point, we had like very similar haircuts. We had like same body shape and shit. And like, I was at college at that point. I could not escape it. I was like walking around. People were calling me Jonah and shit. And I was embracing it too. Like at one point, I sent out a gag Christmas card with him photoshopped behind me, and the Christmas card said Happy Holidays. So I really embraced this Jonah Hill thing for a while, to the point where I was Jonah Hill like 3 or 4 Halloweens in a row, like heading out with my friends.
Oh my god.
Like, you know, in Napoleon Dynamite where he makes that shirt with the iron-on letters that says "Vote for Pedro."
Yeah.
I did the same thing, but it literally just said Jonah Hill, and that's all
Jonah
I
Hill?
needed. And people were like, "Oh my god, you do look like him." And I'm like,
You
I
are
know,
him. You're
I
him.
know.
You look like that kid from Superbad.
And then I started drawing the Tech Deck thumbs, and I really embraced the super badness of it all. People kept going, "Hey, wait a minute."
You drew pictures of dicks and put them in your lunchbox stash. I draw pictures of dicks.
So
Holy
yeah,
fuck.
I guess that's my most unique one, just because it like took over my life. It wasn't a costume; it was a lifestyle. that point.
It's a lifestyle. Yeah,
So what about
for sure.
you?
So like you, I wore a lot of run of the mill kind of Halloween costumes. I was always dressed up as a turtle or like a ninja. They always had like the black ninja suits. I always got those. Recently, I do get a little more exotic with my Halloween costumes. Like I do the horns, and I usually wear these like ginormous ear pieces. They're like, I don't know. My ears are gauged out, so to understand this, I have to tell you that. They're just like these big spirals, and like it all comes together. I'll paint my face up and stuff like that. But the one Halloween costume I remember from my childhood was this one year I dressed up as Jason, which equated to just wearing a Jason mask, a cheapo one from Dollar General.
Yeah.
It was very warm this Halloween too. It was like 75 or 80 degrees out. It was very hot. I had a cut-off flannel on, where like tank top flannel basically. Okay. And I had like ripped up jeans, and I think I had like a plastic machete. It was like one of the cheap glow in the dark ones. And to top it all off, I did this while riding skates.
Oh, Skateson.
Yeah, I was Jason on skates. Not quite Michelle Kwan, but good enough.
Catch him at your local Sonic drive-thru.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I don't really know what I was thinking. I remember, like, cause I mean, in my neighborhood, there's a lot of staircases to go up. Like, I had my skates on, and I was just like dinging up people's fucking wooden stairs and shit. And they were, I'm sure, not happy, but I was a kid and I didn't care. But like looking back on it now, had a kid, skated up my like brand new wooden staircase, I probably would have just like kicked him down it and like fuck off my porch.
He fell.
He belong on my porch. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I gave him the Twix and gave him a Snickers. Then the kid went wild. I don't know what happened. But also, please sign this paper that says you can't sue me. So yeah, that's probably the most exotic Halloween costume I've ever had.
Skateson and Jonah Hill. I love it.
Skateson and Oh shit. So that was our awesome Q&A show. We really had a lot of fun doing this, or at least I did. I don't know did you have a lot of fun, Derek?
Oh no, I'm over here absolutely miserable. Don't ever make me do this again.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear from anybody ever again. No more questions. I've answered everything that I need to answer in my life. Thank you so much.
If it sounds like we were tired throughout any of these little segments here, it's because we fucking are. Derek's been moving to a new house. He's been moving over the course of like the last 5 years, I feel like.
Oh, yeah, at least 5 years. Maybe centuries at this point. I don't know.
Yeah. And I've started a new job, and I've been working 12-hour days for the past 5 years. So it's all adding up, but we're still kicking it. We're still recording stuff, and we actually just both sat down, mapped out every show from now until the end of October, all the way up until the big day of Halloween. We're going to have a lot of really fucking awesome shows coming your way very, very soon, and I hope you guys will enjoy listening to them. We've thought this out carefully, and I think we've got some real winners here coming up.
I think so. It's going to be a good time. There's a lot of stuff that I think we've been wanting to talk about for like a year. Listen, we had a good time with the Shark Show. We had fun talking about arcades, but Leftover Pizza was born in Halloween, and like our relationship was forged in Halloween. Like this is what we come together for. Like we wait for this all year, so it has to be good this year.
We were born in it, molded by it.
Molded by it. I was born in the darkness.
So just quickly before we boot scoot the hell out of here and go to bed, just wanted to remind everybody, Leftover Pizza Club still kicking. Having a great time over there on Facebook. Join. You get a free sticker. Like Grimey said, I've been moving, so I've been a little bit slow to send them out. But if you messaged me, I do have your addresses still. They will be going out as soon as I have a desk set up. I am recording this podcast from my kitchen table right now, so it's a little rough, but we're making do. So hang in there. Your stickers are coming soon. Leftover Pizza Club on Facebook. If you want to support us, I did just stop selling the summer zine, but we do have a Halloween zine that we've been planning, and it's a little bit more than that. We've actually got a whole little Halloween fun pack that's going to be coming really, really soon. So if you're interested, again, we'll be posting about it on the Instagram at Leftover Pizza Podcast. We'll be posting about it over in the Leftover Pizza Club on Facebook. And if you want to just go directly to the source after you've listened to this episode, head over to shopobscure.com. That's where you can buy all of the zines, all of our stickers, anything that we make. It helps support the show, keeps us going. And while we're at it, talking about support, if you could just drop us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts, that would be a huge, huge help. You don't have to write out a full review. Just hit 5 stars if you think we're worth it. And subscribe to our YouTube channel because we've been doing some videos over there. So that
Absolutely.
also helps us. So...
Yep. No, seriously, if you could just write squirrels, as long as you give us a 5-star review, we'll take it. We'll squirrels all the way.
First person to write squirrels on a review and screenshot it, send it to us through Instagram or on the Pizza Club. I will send you a piece of the Halloween care package that we're going to be making up free ahead of time. First person to do it, though. You have to actually go write squirrels and prove to me that you did it. So
Hell yeah. And I'd like to thank everybody for giving us all these questions to answer. Like I said, had a lot of fun with this. Maybe do another one sometime in the future for something else. Maybe not just a general Q&A. Maybe something that fits a certain theme. Who knows? This was fun, though, and we definitely should visit it again.
absolutely. I had a good time. Like Grimey said, thank you for sending in questions. Thank you for supporting us and listening to us. Every single one of you. Very important. Can't believe that we're a year into this, Grimey, and can't believe that people actually care enough to interact with us. It's pretty nuts.
Hell yeah, a year in and still going strong. It ain't slowing down anytime soon. And with that, I am Grimey from Retroplasm.
And I am Derek from itsdemboys.com.
And I am so fucking tired.
Oh
Let's
my
get
God,
the fuck out of here.
Me too. I'm so fucking ready.
Oh, shit.
All right.
Well, thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks so much. I'm going to go fucking listen to nature sounds and pass out.
I'm going to listen to maybe some spooky sounds. Peace out, Girl Scouts.